Hey guys, and welcome to my channel once again. So today's a really nice warm day here in England, so that's why I'm dressed the way that I am dressed today. I live for fedora hats, so that is why I'm wearing one, and I just feel like it was time to get back into being in style. I felt like I wasn't in style for about a couple weeks. Ever since joining the Air Force, I felt like my style just wasn't where it was at, and now I'm trying to get it back on track now that I'm over here in England. So, hey. So let's get right into the video, shall we? So today's video is going to be talking about things that I've been learning while I've been here in England. So before I came to England, I didn't realize how many differences that I was going to encounter. And one of those is the language. So let's get right into some of the things I've learned while being stationed here in England. So number one, hair. I did talk about hair in one of my previous videos, and I talked about hair and how it's a struggle to find a hairstylist, and how, if you do find a hairstylist that maybe is not of your same race, give them a try, right? I did talk about that. So I'm here to say that I have found a few hairstylists of my race that actually do hair, which is freaking awesome. I'm super excited, and it took a while for me to find them, but I got them, through other references and things like that. So speaking about hair, there's two things I want to talk about regarding hair that I have written down on my notes. So number one is going to be that hairstylists here in the UK, or in England, should I say, they don't have to be licensed. So when you do go to a hairstylist or a hair salon, should I say, and you speak with a hairstylist, make sure that you do ask if they are licensed, if that is something that is big in your list, you know what I mean? Because they don't have to be licensed. So I prefer my hairstylist to be licensed, but that's because everyone I went to in the past has always been licensed. And I just feel that if you're licensed, you know exactly what you're doing. You went to school for it and you got your license to prove it. But that's me. Another thing about hair that I want to talk about too, that I've noticed within my hair. So every time I would wash my hair, I realized that it was always dry. And no matter how much moisturizer I put into my hair, it just always was dry. Even washing my hands, they were so dry. I felt like if I rubbed my hands together, I could create fire. It was that dry. And I was like, what is going on? So what I found out is that the air here in England has so much humidity that once it's mixed with the cold weather and you wash your hair and water gets into your pores, it freezes your hair. So when it came to washing my hair, it made complete sense. I'd wash my hair and then next minute my hair would be super dry, and as much moisturizer as I put in, it still wasn't looking the greatest. So that's why I go and get my hair done, and I see a lot of women of color usually have braids or weaves. So if you see a video with me with braids or weaves, then you know why. So that's about it for hair. Next, we're gonna talk about toilets. Oh my gosh. So when I first got here to England, I did not realize that when you flush the toilet, sometimes it takes about 2 or 3 times for you to get all the residue flushed all the way down. Y'all. Because in America, you don't have to do that. You flush it once and everything goes down. So yeah. And you know how it is when you flush the toilet, it takes about a minute or 2 before you can, flush it again. Oh my gosh, that was a pain. That was such a pain. And I wish I had known before I got here. So sometimes that does happen, and patience is a virtue. Patience is a virtue. If you don't have patience, you are gonna need it. So yes, that was definitely something that I had to get used to as well. Also, let's talk about sodas. Sodas and smoothies, they are so sweet, y'all. So sweet. Oh my gosh. I remember drinking soda and I was like, oh, why does this taste so sweet? I honestly feel like I'm about a couple seconds from catching diabetes because of how sweet their drinks are. So from now on, I just stick to water because I can't do it. I can't do it. It's too sweet. Also, what I've seen here is that the McDonald's fries to me are skinnier, and their chicken nuggets actually taste like real chicken. And here in the UK, wouldn't you guess, or wouldn't you like to know, that the people here in England love McDonald's and they love Starbucks? Those lines are so packed. I mean, I'm like, well, dang. Now, I don't know if it's because it's not a lot around the area. Like here in the US, there's like one on every block, like a McDonald's or a Starbucks. Where here, I don't see one like on every single block, but oh my gosh, they be thick, so thick. And I'm like, okay. And I've also noticed too that on the radio stations, they play a lot of American music. So they do like American music. So shout out to the US for that. So that's pretty cool. Thanks UK for showing us love on the radio. I love that. They do a lot of throwback songs and everything. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I feel at home. Also, they use military time over here. So that was something I had to get used to because, you know, in America, they don't use military time unless you're actually in the military. So here they use it. So I had to get used to that as well. Also, over here in England, they don't say excuse me. So there was a couple times where I went into stores and they wouldn't say excuse me when they're trying to get by you. Let's say to look at clothes or whatever. They don't say excuse me. They try to finagle their way around you. I guess it's whatever. So I had learned about that before I had went out, so I wasn't shocked. And, you know, I didn't have to say, you know, certain things to people and get on and act a little bit different than how I usually am composed. So because I knew that, hey, this is their culture. This is how they are. They don't say excuse me. So if you may get a little hit or a little bump or whatever, that's them. They just don't like to say excuse me. I feel like you should, but hey, it is what it is. I adapt to wherever I am. Also, another thing is, so I did mention in my car video that they do drive manual over here. They don't really drive automatic. So that's something different. Also, there's something called a queue, which is QUE, and it is pretty much a line. So when you go into certain stores, you may see that they'll have a sign that says, please queue here. So queue is pretty much where you stay in order. You don't butt people. So let's say bus stations, or you're getting on a bus. You know, like in America, you all get there at different times. And then when the bus comes, you all scramble to get in the bus. And then if there's no seats available, oh, well, you wait for the next bus. No, here in England, they don't do it that way. You have to wait in line. You don't butt people because I guess it's apparently like, it's disrespectful and it's rude. You do the same thing when you go in line for shopping, which we already do. But I like that they have a queue. So they'll be like, oh, please queue up and all that type of stuff. So you wait your turn in line. Also, when you go to restaurants, this is something that I had to learn. Well, actually, I didn't have to learn because I found out from people. But when you go to restaurants, when you sit at a table, whether you reserved it or not, that's your table for the rest of the day. So the waiter is not going to keep coming back and checking on you to see how you're doing. When you're ready to leave, the waiter is not going to come and ask you, are you ready for your bill? You literally have to wave them down and say, hey, I'm ready for my bill. So usually when you eat out, it could be 2-3 hours that you're sitting there at the restaurant. Where in America, you know, it's like you got your appetizer, you got your entree, you know, you got your dessert, and boom, 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 boom. And the check is coming to you in no time so that they can get somebody else seated down. Where in England, they don't do it that way. Also, I'm going to talk about some of the different names that they have for different things. But yeah, and checks are also never split. So if you're in a group of like 6 people, they're going to bring your tab with everyone's like whatever they ordered on that one bill. And even if you say, hey, I want it was the ambulance, so I didn't know if y'all could hear that or not. And even if you say, hey, I want my check split when you first sit down, I've only had it twice where it happened, where they actually split it. All the other times they don't split it, and you're literally like having to try and figure out what is your total from like the other person's total so that you can pay, you know, the server separately. And it's just a big mess. You know what I mean? I don't like it. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I wish y'all didn't do that in England. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. Because in the US, they don't do it, and I like it that way. I like that, hey, everything's split up. But it's cool. It's cool. Oh, also, there's no such things as using restrooms in the bathrooms. What? They don't do that there? No. They may have some public restrooms, but again, some of them you do have to pay for. So that was something different that I had to learn. So, I mean, like, if you go into a McDonald's or something or a Starbucks, yeah, they'll let you use the bathroom for free. But, I mean, like, other places, they're not just going to be like, oh, yeah, come on in and use our bathroom. What? No. No, 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 no. It does not work like that. Also, something else I have learned here as well as they use like certain words that they say here is more of like a place instead of a noun. So an example I heard on the radio. So they were saying like, oh, this person had to go to hospital. And I want to call the radio station so bad and say, no, you're missing something. It's this person went to the hospital, not this person went to hospital, but that's how they say it. It's as if it's like regarded as a place, like hospital, which I get. Like a hospital to us is like a noun, which is a person, place, or thing. But we always say like such and such went to the hospital, not such and such went to hospital. So that's something different that I had to get used to. And I was like, okay, don't call the radio station. That's how they talk. So yeah, that was something different as well. So now we are going to talk about some other things I have learned since living in the UK or England. So England has their own set of languages. I like to say their own terms for different things. So let's get right into some of them. So starter. A starter means an appetizer. And in one of my first videos, I went to go visit family friends here in England, and I spent time with them for the holiday season. That's like one of my first videos. You can go back and watch if you haven't. When I went to them for Christmas dinner, which Christmas dinner is huge here in England versus Thanksgiving is like, what's that? That's not big to them, but Christmas is huge. So they were like, all right, guys, we're going to start off with the starter. And, I'm like, what's a starter? I said it a little bit more. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, what is a starter? Because I don't know what that means. So enlighten me. And they're like, oh, it's an appetizer. I do like that. I agree. Where we say appetizer, that's cool. But I feel like a starter is like, you're starting out your meal with a starter. So I do like that. Also, a bin means trash can. Rubbish means garbage. Like, that's rubbish. Yeah. Holiday means vacation. So one of my family friends here was like, oh yeah, when I go on a holiday. And I was like, what? And then I was like, I'm sorry, does holiday translate to vacation? She's like, yes, vacation. I was like, okay, now we're talking. Uni means university, so it's just cut in half. Like, oh yeah, she's at uni. I'm like, okay, I like that. It's like an abbreviation for university. Like, oh, she's at uni versus saying, oh, she's at this university. Also, Boxing Day is the 26th. So like how we have Black Friday, which is the day after Thanksgiving, after Christmas, the day after Christmas is Boxing Day. And I was like, oh, so y'all, when were y'all ever famous for boxers? That's what I was thinking, I didn't research about what it was, and I didn't say that. It was in my mind. I didn't say it. And then they're like, no, Boxing Day is like a big day where they go shopping and everything is on sale. So it's like equivalent to our Black Friday in the US. Also, cinema means theater or movie theater. And then also a huge thing I didn't know is have-in or takeaway is equivalent to, is this for here or to go? I remember the first time I went to Starbucks, I was like, I'm sorry, can you repeat what you just said? And I was like, and then she explained. I was like, oh, okay, cool, because I didn't understand what that meant at that point. Also, a few other things on the escalators, like I said in one of my videos, you stay on the right-hand side and on so that other people can, easily walk up and down if they walk past you. Okay, they can pass you. Also, chips, which is fries, and burgers they use with a fork. There's been times, y'all, I didn't even eat with a fork. I use my hands. I'm like, they're gonna know I'm American. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm sorry. It's just I'm accustomed to it. So when I see fries, I think hands. I think my fingers. I'm gonna use my fingers to eat a fry. I don't think, oh my gosh, fork and knife. It's different for me. So yeah, I'm getting used to that. Also, they have 3 trash cans. So they have one that is used for recycle. There's one for general, and there's one for garden. And I'm like, oh wow. Wow, 3 trash cans. We have just one simple trash can where we put everything in, and then we have recycle bin if you want to. So that was different. Also, you have to pay for shopping bags. So when you go shopping at different stores, they'll ask you if you want to purchase a bag to put your items in. And I'm like, well, I mean, I would assume so. But yeah, you can either use an extra bag that you bring, put your own clothes or whatever you buy in it, or you can pay for a bag. Usually it's about 5 or 10p. And again, tea is really huge here as well. And there's a difference between English and Brits. So English is where like your descendants are literally from England, and Brits is where like, there's a lot of people that migrated from different countries and came here to England. Those are what's considered a Brit. So it's a difference between the English and the Brits. Thank you for that person that did leave that comment in one of my previous videos talking about how you guys are not called Brits, or some of y'all are called English. So I did get that clarification from one of the locals here in England. And also, one other quick thing, there's a difference between RAF Lakenheath and RAF Mildenhall's BX. The difference is Mildenhall sells house appliance, houseware, home and bedding, and garden and toys and electronics, where RAF Lakenheath has clothing, beauty products, and electronics. Something to keep in mind when you do come here, that you'll have to go to different bases to get different things. All right, that's the end of this video. Before the time is up, and I'll talk to you guys at a later time. Bye, guys.